Hey guys, today we'll be discussing the state of Florida and how important this state is to President Trump's re-election and how President Trump is doing abysmal in the state of Florida. As you can see, currently Joe Biden is up in the polls here by a margin of 3.5% and has been throughout this entire election cycle. Joe Biden has been leading over President Trump in the state of Florida throughout the entire election cycle, and this is much better than Trump than the numbers that he saw during the summer. He was down almost 8%. He was down, I think, at his peak by a margin of 7.6% at some point, as you can see right here. 7.6% July 25th. Joe Biden plus 7.6 over the president. Now the margin may just be 3.5%. However, as the election was nearing, I think we all did expect the state of Florida to get much closer, and it did get pretty close at one point. It got within the 2% margin for Joe Biden towards the end of the month of September. However, this was debate day. Biden was up 1.8, and now after this, Trump is now down a full 3.5%. That's an almost 2% shift to the left from just after the debate, and it's only been a couple of days after the debate. There's been basically just 1 week after this first presidential debate, and of course today we're going to have our first first and only vice presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Mike Pence. I honestly think that if you're really trying to make your mind on what the issues that both the candidates Biden and Trump really are trying to support, I do think that this debate would be a lot more informative if you really want some more policy discussion, because I don't think we're really going to see any sort of policy discussion or any just informative discussion between Joe Biden and Donald Trump in the future debates, if they are going to still be held. Taking a look at the polls here, Joe Biden leads by 5% in a Siena College New York Times Upshot A+ rated poll, even in a Suffolk University poll. However, these other two polls do put Biden over the top by 4 and 6%. So Joe Biden doing very well in Florida. And in just a moment, I'm going to explain why the state of Florida is just so important for the current president. Taking a look at the Real Clear Politics average, currently on RCP, Joe Biden leads by a margin of 3.5% as well. As you can see, mimicking the RCP average, the 538 average, and the RCP average are exactly the same. Taking a look on Real Clear Politics, as you can see, Joe Biden plus 3.5. You see many similar polls here as well. And according to this, Joe Biden is leading by basically the same margin and the largest margin he's seen since the month of August. And I'm actually going to crop this out basically there, because everything before this really did not matter too much. Of course, Joe Biden did peak at plus 8.4% on RCP at his peak on the 24th of July, and this really was a very good period for Joe Biden. He was peaking nationwide in every single state, and of course it did get closer as we expected, but right now it is getting better and better for Joe Biden with less than a month to go until the election. And remember, right now Trump may be the incumbent, but it is Biden's election to lose. If Biden is going to lose this election, that means he did something wrong, not he didn't do well enough. So Biden is leading by a margin of 3.5%, and taking a look at 270 to win, as you can see, taking a look at the voting history, this state is primarily a Republican state, so that is an advantage for Donald Trump, but really it has voted for both Democrats and Republicans in the past. As you can see, after Eisenhower was able to flip the state back in 1952, it became a lot more of a GOP state. And then after that, Johnson won it in 64, and then Carter, another strong Southern candidate from the state of Georgia, won it in 1976. So really what we see is that Republicans do normally win this state, but if we see an exceptional Democratic candidate that is really able to captivate voters, it will flip to the left. So as you can see, 1964, Johnson won with over 400 electoral votes. So of course he did win the state of Florida. The state of Florida also went to Jimmy Carter in 1976. He won by a pretty considerable margin over Gerald Ford. In 1996, Clinton won 379 electoral votes over Bob Dole. So Bob Dole was just really not too great of a candidate, and Clinton easily won that election in the state of Florida. And then in more recent history, Barack Obama won in 2008 against John McCain. And then, of course, in 2012 against Mitt Romney. And taking a look at the numbers here, as you can see, Barack Obama, of course, underperformed in 2012 compared to 2018. And taking a look at President Trump's numbers, President Trump won the state of Florida, but won a smaller percentage of the vote in 2016 than Mitt Romney won in 2012. This is just because in 2016, there was a huge amount of third-party vote, more than we've ever seen really in recent history. As you can see, in 2012, there was barely any third-party vote. There was 0.9% of the electorate that went to a third party. And then in 2008, we saw something very similar, 0.8%. So really, third-party candidates really did play a pretty large role in 2016. However, this time around, I think we're going to go back to seeing these typical very small margins. And then in 2000, of course, it was basically decided by 500 votes between Al Gore and George W. Bush. However, in the end, the Supreme Court, of course, did rule that it would go to Bush. I mean, I'm not really too sure about that, but I definitely, if a full recount was made, there could definitely be a chance where Gore actually won the state of Florida. But the state of Florida did still go to George W. Bush, and that gave him 25 electoral votes to win him the election in 2000. But basically what this means is that this state, it might be primarily a GOP state, but definitely does show that Democrats really can flip this state, and this state has been correct, voting with the eventual winner in the past 6 elections, and even more if you do not count 1992, when Bill Clinton lost the state of Florida to Bush Sr., but he did end up winning the election with 370 electoral votes. Taking a look at the predicted data for the state of Florida, as you can see, currently Joe Biden has a 56-cent share to Donald Trump with a 48-cent share. So what this essentially means is that Joe Biden has a 58% chance of carrying the state of Florida, Donald Trump 48%, and we'll see this updated later today. But as of right now, Joe Biden is all the way up at 56 cents per share to Donald Trump with 48 cents. And Joe Biden was all the way up at 64 cents per share on July 26th. This was basically right when he peaked from the 24th to the 26th. And then after that, of course, it did fall significantly. He even fell behind in late September. However, after the first debate, as you can see, the 29th, that was when the debate was held. Right after that, Joe Biden immediately gained the lead in the state of Florida. He is now up by over 10% in the state of Florida, as you can see, 57 to 47 in the state of Florida, according to the betting odds. And this is not good. If most people are betting on you to lose, you're probably not in too great of a spot, considering that you are the incumbent president and you actually carried this state just 4 years ago. And why the state of Florida is important, so I was just doing a little bit of a hypothetical there, but so the reason why the state of Florida is important is because President Trump cannot win the election without the state of Florida. Now, of course, there's many states that he can't win the election without. He can't win the election without the state of Texas. He must win the state of Texas. If he doesn't win, I don't think there's a way for President Trump to get to 270 electoral votes. He also must win the state of Iowa, so that would be the next state to go to the president. Georgia would also have to continue to vote for the GOP. Ohio as well. And really, if you were to take a look at the polls here, Ohio polling in favor of Joe Biden by 0.5%. So that is already going to be a struggle in it with itself. The state of Georgia plus 0.9. Joe Biden doing better in Georgia than the state of Ohio. These are both states that went to President Trump by over 8% in Ohio and by over 6% in the state of Georgia. He would also have to win North Carolina. There's no way that President Trump is going to win the election without North Carolina, 15 electoral votes. So this puts President Trump up at 218 electoral votes. Then he would have to win the state of Florida if this were to continue. In Florida, it's looking even worse for the president, as you can see, plus 3.5 for Joe Biden. And then the next state that I think would flip, or not even flip, but stay the same for Joe Biden, for President Trump, I say flip because at this point, he's probably not going to win these states. Arizona, 11 electoral votes. I think he would have to win this state, a state that Joe Biden leads in by a whole 4.4%. This state would also have to flip for President Trump, so that would be another 11 electoral votes. And now basically he needs one of these Rust Belt states. Now Nevada is probably not going to flip. It didn't even vote for Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump in 2016. It did vote for Hillary Clinton. Sorry if I can't really talk today. The second district of Nebraska and Maine, I guess we'll give it to President Trump. We'll see that he does better in these two districts as well. And now these three states, President Trump needs to win one of them, any of these states, but if President Trump loses, let's say the 2nd District of Nebraska, in which Joe Biden is leading in by a likely margin in right now, then he would have to win Wisconsin and another state. So Wisconsin, let's say he wins the state of Wisconsin. That would give him 270 electoral votes. I do think that if he were to win the election, it would be state of Pennsylvania, because Pennsylvania right now is the closest. But taking a look at how far-fetched this map really is. Arizona, a state that Trump won by 3.6%, and a state that Joe Biden has been leading for basically the entire election cycle by a margin of 4.4%. So this state is not going to flip. State of Georgia, 29 electoral votes, as we saw, plus 3.5 for Joe Biden. I don't think Florida's going to go to the president again either. Pennsylvania, especially. Pennsylvania polling in favor of Joe Biden by 6.3%. This is a state that Clinton only led in by a little bit over 3% 4 years ago. So plus 6.3 in the birth state of Joe Biden. So this state is obviously not going to flip either. Let's take a look at some other states. Ohio, North Carolina, Georgia. Maybe, honestly, I would put this in the pure toss-up section. I do think that the states of Ohio, North Carolina, and Georgia right now are pure toss-ups, but this really doesn't matter because Joe Biden can lose all of these states. He's also leading in Wisconsin and Michigan, and he doesn't even need the states of Arizona or Florida. He can lose all of these states and still win the election because, as we see every time, Joe Biden only needs these 3 states that he's leading in. Let's say Michigan, 7.6% for Joe Biden. State of Wisconsin, 7%. These are 2 likely margins. Pennsylvania also seeing a surge for the former vice president, as you can see, doing much better than what he was on the 29th, plus 5.4, now plus 6.3. So this is also another increase for Joe Biden. State of Pennsylvania almost becoming a likely state once again. Arizona, I would personally put into the lean column as well. State of Florida as well, I would actually put into the tilt column, but still nonetheless a Biden state. Trump needs the state of Florida. If he doesn't win Florida, there's no way he can get to 270 electoral votes. Because as of right now, some of these states in the Rust Belt are basically solid for Joe Biden. I really do not see that a case where Trump actually carries the state of Michigan. So if he were to really flip all of these states, if Trump does not win the state of Florida, there really is no way for President Trump to win. He can win Wisconsin, he can win Michigan, he can win Pennsylvania as well. And that will barely put him over 270 electoral votes. But I'm 100% sure that Donald Trump is not going to carry all 3 of these Rust Belt states. In his best night, he might carry 2 of them, but there's no way he's carrying all 3 of them. And then, this map is just completely unrealistic. There's no way that President Trump is going to lose Florida but carry states like Arizona or any of these Rust Belt states. So really, President Trump is in a horrible predicament right now. He definitely has a lot of work to do, and he has been starting up his rallies again. He's announced that he's going to be continuing to do those rallies. I think that's going to be a huge mistake because COVID-19 does tend to last 2 weeks, and unless President Trump is really actually rid of the virus, he's going to continue to spread it to more people, and he's probably going to see even worse symptoms because he is not resting like he should and not self-quarantining like he literally should. And we're seeing the vice presidential debate just later today between Mike Pence and Kamala Harris, and there's been a lot of drama about whether or not they should have plexiglass, barriers between the 2 vice presidential candidates, as Mike Pence technically should be in quarantine right now, but no, he decided not to, and he's going to move on, like nothing really happened. And so basically, Donald Trump has become this huge super spreader in the White House and just endangering the lives of many. We saw, McEnany get the virus as well, along with many prominent Republican senators. Tom Tillis was able to contract this virus as well from North Carolina, where he is in a very contentious Senate race with Cal Cunningham right now. So definitely just that huge event for Amy Coney Barrett, I think, was a mistake, and that event really did spread the virus to just so many people. And President Trump really could have also spread it to Joe Biden, which I think definitely that would not have been good. Honestly, if the president would have spread this deadly disease to his opponent, I think that would just be a horrible thing to do just because of the president's recklessness. So basically, the president, I think he has a lot of work to do. I think that he is definitely on track to losing this election because he can't win the election without Florida, and he's probably not going to win Florida at this moment in time. And so that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like down below. Also consider subscribing to my channel, as well as leaving your thoughts in the comments below. And if you have any suggestions for videos you'd like to see from me in the future, please leave them in the comments below. And yeah, I'm so tired right now. So yeah, I will see all of you guys in the next video.